The big news being that Miro, formerly known as Rusev, Ricky Starks, and who was the other one? Malakai. They've all been let go by WWE. Apparently, they're no longer on the official roster page, and the belief is that they have been released by AEW. I suppose it's a bit crazy if that's happened, that they're willing to do that for them, but they're not willing to do that for Rey Fenix. Like, that is pretty crazy if that's what's happening now. It's one thing to hold people to their contracts, but to not hold some and hold others, like, I don't know, man. That sort of feels like you might be starting to get into, like, discrimination grounds. Like, all of a sudden that doesn't feel right. Like, I can understand Tony Khan wanting to hold people to their contracts. I do get that. And certainly if the person being held to their contract is someone that WWE are actively looking to recruit, I understand that. We've had conversations about it. People might not like it, but I understand why he's doing it, right? As we said, the dark arts, dog eat dog. Yeah, nothing that Vince hasn't done a billion times in the past, right? So it's one of those. If you're a WWE fan, I wouldn't throw stones on that subject, because you haven't got to dig into WWE's history too hard to find many, many examples where WWE have done similar, worse, right? So for me, I get it, right? But then here, it seemingly we're letting these people out of their contracts. I mean, I don't know, to be honest, because Ricky Starks has wanted out for a while. Rusev has wanted out for a while. And the reason why Malakai wasn't in the Rumble is because I heard his deal didn't expire until the middle of Feb. So maybe it's a situation where they've all been held to their contracts as well. So maybe it's a situation that Tony is treating everyone the same and seeing out everybody's contracts, right? If that's what's happened, then fine, no complaints. If he's releasing people but holding others to their contract, like, this is where it could get a little bit messy. This is where you could understand Rey Fenix getting even more irate. But I've not seen enough detail as to, if that's happened or what exactly has happened. But all of those have made noises about wanting to leave for quite a while. And as we said, the reason why I didn't predict Malakai for the Rumble was because I'd heard rumors he wasn't free until the middle of February, certainly not until after the Royal Rumble. So, parking all of that stuff, moving on to the next conversation, which is who should come into WWE. The answer for me would be definitely Malakai, because I think he brings something that is lacking, that sort of darker side, that moodier side, which I'm sure we will get from Alexa eventually, and we should be getting from the Wyatt Six, but we just don't see them. Like, Malakai is someone that could bring that darker side on a more regular basis, a more consistent basis, which is what we want from the Wyatt Six. But we are, 7 months into that group now? And I think we can all agree that they're being used as an attraction rather than being used as a regular thing. So Malakai could be that regular thing. So Malakai is someone I would definitely bring in. Ricky Starks, I think, has got great potential. Ricky Starks got really over at one point in AEW. Like, wasn't he going toe-to-toe with MJF? Cutting promos, people were like really impressed with him, and people like wanted to see him more, but he was being held back. I think there's been some real frustration there for a long time, and I think that's affected his booking. So Ricky is someone I would really look at as well, and I know he's good friends with Cody. Him and Cody get on really well. Like, Ricky's been backstage at WWE shows and stuff, so I wouldn't be shocked if Cody puts in a word and Ricky finds his way coming over. I would definitely put him in NXT first, though. And then the only other one is Rusev, and this is going to be controversial. I wouldn't take Rusev. You will get that initial, oh my God, Rusev's here, isn't this exciting? But once you get past a few weeks, you've then got to start using him and booking him. And to be honest with you, we've got Jacob and we've got Bronson. we've got a couple of those. We've got Braun. We've got some of those big wrecking machines, right? We've got some of those. Like, I don't know how many of those you want or need. I don't know that Rusev really is someone that the roster is in desperate need of. If we had a load of, like, smaller guys and we needed some monsters, then I'd be like, well, you know, we could bring him in. He could do something. But we've got, you know, potentially Omos getting a little bit better after his time in Japan, and we haven't seen him in ages. He could come back and certainly have a run at some point in 2025. Big Bronson Reed's going to come back from his injury. Jacob is a wrecking machine. Solo just came back on Friday. He's going to have to go back to being some sort of enforcer wrecking machine, I would imagine. The gimmick change for him of being leader of the bloodline did not work. He was at his best when he was silent and he was the street fighter and everyone was a bit nervous around him. That's when Solo was at his best. I just feel like you can go down a steady list of names of wrecking machines, and I don't know that Rusev is needed. So I think you would get that initial pop and excitement, and then you would be lumbered with the headache of, well, now you've got to book him, and now you've got to do something with him. Now you've got to find creative for him. And I just don't know that that's something WWE need to engage in. People always love the new and the exciting and all of that stuff. So I'm sure the majority would take Miro, Rusev, but for me, like, you can't keep bringing people in. Otherwise, you're going to end up with cutting more people. You know, we've just had a load of cuts because the roster was too big. So I've got to think, you know, there's 3 people available. Let's say you can't have all 3. Which 2 do you take? Well, for me, Malakai would be a no-brainer. And I think Ricky Starks is younger and, you know, still awaiting that opportunity. Rusev had his shot. Ricky Starks is 34. He's 34 years old. So, I mean, he's still got, you know, plenty of time ahead of him. Whereas Rusev is 40 this year. So Rusev is coming up to about 6 years older. 40 is not bad. I mean, you'd still get a good few years out of Rusev. And if we picked him up, it wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, if I had to choose just a couple, because we weren't going to take all 3, it would be Rusev that would miss out for me. So I do hope they pick up Malakai, though. That would be the one out of the 3. And then I'd take Ricky, because I think he'd be quite versatile. I could see Ricky, you know, being in tag division, being in a faction. He could be like a JD McDonough kind of guy. He could be a sort of Montez kind of a guy. He could be a Montez in a tag team. He could be a JD in a faction. He could be an Austin Theory type as well. I kind of feel like he's quite versatile. I kind of feel like he'd be a solid hand in that mid-card. Could sort of see him going like after mid-card titles eventually. You wouldn't bring him in and just do that straight away. But who knows, if he got over, if he really got over, he's the kind of guy that I could see getting a world title shot at some point as well. Don't know that I can see him being like a multiple-time world champion, but I could see him coming in and being a good addition to the roster, a very versatile addition. And someone that I think could, you know, be a good pickup for WWE.